defending the free market, and making the moral case for capitalism. The Justin Moore Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Justin Moore Show, where we make sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world. And ladies and gentlemen, we finally know who the 45th President of the United States is. Donald J. Trump. And I guess a question we should ask ourselves, I think, is said best by, when the Brexit vote first took place. This was back in July. Maybe that was, it was back in June. We had Nigel Farage. He was a member of Parliament. And after the Brexit vote happened, he's like, "You're not laughing now, are you?" Well, that's how I want to start the show, my friends. You are not laughing now, are you? Here is the guy who I have called from the very beginning. His little statements he gave during the Republican primary debates. It sounded like he was reading off fortune cookies. When he first said he was going to run for president back in June of 2015, I said, okay, this guy's a clown. He's a joke. If he is elected president, he will be the very first cartoon character ever elected president. Well, I guess here we are. Donald Trump. He is the first cartoon character elected president. Yes, he is president number 45. And, I mean, the guy who has had very little substance throughout the whole process. I mean, this guy was really he was lone wolfing it for most of the time. He didn't really have a staff. He didn't really use any of the experts like everyone else prior to him would do. We got to listen what the experts have to say, Trump went counter to all of that. It's amazing how he was able to pull this off. And now at the very last part of his campaign, it seems like he was being a lot more political, a lot more of a politician, getting through, saying things he needed to say to kind of get the base to turn out. And at the end of the day, it seems like a lot of these Republicans who said, nah, I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. I can't do it. It seems like a lot of them did, because Gary Johnson, he never did make his 5% like he wanted to so that the Libertarians could get their federal funding. But he got like 3.5% of the vote, which is still, he ended up with like 4 million votes, which is the most a Libertarian candidate has ever had. So that's a good start. But, Gary Johnson had an opportunity here where he could have taken a lot more percent of the vote. But as I've discussed in previous podcasts, Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, they're two clowns. And they were absolutely, some of the worst candidates we could have had for the Libertarian Party at this point in time. This was such a huge opportunity, but we missed it. But anyway, going back to Donald Trump here and looking at this election, we reflect back. We look back at how things turned out here. So we had Donald Trump. He ended up with 290 electoral votes, and you need obviously 270 to win. And so Trump went over that threshold by 20, and he ended up with just over 60 million votes, which if you look at the voter turnout, looking at those who are eligible to vote, we had a 57% turnout. So 131 million people voted out of 231 million. And then if we look over at Hillary, she ended up with 228 electoral votes, and she actually had more people vote for her than Trump did. Trump ended up with, just over 60 million, and Hillary had 60.4 million. So Hillary had about 400,000 more. Now, the numbers aren't final yet. Those numbers probably will tick up just a little bit, but it seems like Hillary will indeed end up having the popular vote. But not the electoral vote. So now, of course, people are up in arms like, oh, yeah, we got to do it with electoral college. It's rigged, this and that, which, especially with people like me who are from Montana, my vote actually is worth more with electoral system than it would be in a popular voting system. And then think about this. There are the people who are concerned with fraud. What if we did get rid of the electoral college? The electoral college helps keep a lot of fraud out of the system. Well, let me take that back a little bit. There is some fraud that still does take place, and I'm sure it will be revealed that, Hillary had some fraud in her favor especially in the swing states. But basically, Hillary, she didn't cheat enough to win and become president, But you think about it. To cheat with an electoral system, look at Hillary would have to focus and cheat in a bunch of different swing states, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida. But if you had a popular vote only, then what? You could focus all of your efforts in just a few states, right? The Chicago machine, the corrupt Chicago machine where Anthony Weiner was running for mayor. Just a lot of these really corrupt cities, you could just make it so people cheat the hell out of the system there, and then because all that matters is the final vote count. And then obviously, then think about this: if we had a popular voting system as opposed to the electoral system, would a presidential candidate like Donald Trump ever come to Montana? Like Donald Trump did, and I attended that. I think that was back in May or June. When Trump was in Billings. No, they would never go to any of these small states. They would focus in the largest population centers. It is the largest population centers that would determine who the next president is. And in general, what I learned, one of the very few things I learned from college is that, typically the very large cities, they typically vote Democrat. If you were to get rid of the electoral system and go by popular vote, that system would favor the Democrats. For me, I'm definitely, even though I think there's a lot of things that are screwed up in the system, I do like the electoral vote system a lot better than if we just had a popular vote. Just like it was a bad idea when we passed the 17th Amendment, which allowed for the direct election of senators. And so now no longer the Senate is represented by the states, but it's represented by the people. So it's just basically another people's vote, just like the House. The Senate's supposed to be a non-majoritarian branch of the government, but it's not. The House and the Senate are, one and the same, basically, with just different powers. It's the Senate that can pass treaties and so forth. But anyway, getting back to the election results. So as I was telling you guys, so Trump ended up with 60 million votes, and then Hillary had 60.4 million. Now, what I found interesting is if we go back to the 2012 election, we had Obama. You guys want to guess what he had for total votes? He ended up with a lot more than Hillary or Trump had. Obama ended up with 65.9 million votes, as opposed to Trump winning with 60 million. And then Romney had 60.9 million. So actually, Romney had more votes in 2012 than either Hillary or Trump had in 2016. So that just goes to show you, look, the voting totals were down by 6 million. Basically, we had like 7 million less votes than we did in 2012. And so then there's just so many people out there, and I'm listening to these commentators talk after the election, especially if you listen to the conservative side, how they're calling this a Trump landslide victory. Really? Is this really a landslide? I mean, not from my perspective, especially when you have voting totals down about 7 million from 2012, when I can't say people were really that enthusiastic to vote in 2012 either. I mean, Obama was, it was his second term. It's not like he was all that popular of a president as opposed to 2008. Romney, he definitely wasn't bringing on an enthusiastic vote for conservatives. But I mean, I guess the Republican Party in general, I would say Romney was good for them. But at the end of the day, it did seem like Trump did bring the Republican vote. As I started off this show saying, a lot of these people, the never Trumpers will end up screwing Trump over. No, it didn't seem like that happened at all. The Republicans, they fell in line and they voted for their guy because they couldn't stand Hillary. And now to get to the point where people are thinking, oh, this is a Trump landslide victory. I mean, he almost got 300 electoral votes, But how about let's just look at a few of these swing states here. I mean, he won these things by razor-thin margins. Look at Florida. Trump won 49-48. Pennsylvania. Okay, yeah, sure, that's a more Democrat state. He wasn't expected to win that, but he won that 49-48. Michigan, 48-47. Wisconsin, 48-47. Those were states, if those could have easily swung the other way. I mean, just they were just tiny margins by what Trump won by. And And if Trump would have lost Florida and, say, Michigan or Wisconsin, he wouldn't have won. Trump wouldn't have been the president. He wouldn't have reached 270 electoral votes. Florida alone has 29 electoral votes. That right there alone. So that's why I don't see this victory by Trump as a landslide victory. I mean, yeah, he had some wins that we didn't expect, like from Michigan and Wisconsin. But still, and that's actually as I was watching the results come in on Tuesday night. Once I saw that Trump won Wisconsin, I'm like, okay, yeah, it looks like Trump got it. Because, we weren't expecting Trump to get that, even though the results in Michigan were really close. He hadn't quite reached 270 at that point, but it definitely seemed like things were in his favor. I mean, Trump, sure, he didn't win the popular vote, but Trump got his votes where he needed them in those certain states. He got his people to turn out. So it wasn't the victory that people like to say. And I was also thinking about this, that, if the election was held 1 week earlier, Hillary most likely would have won. I mean, you think about, look at the momentum that Trump had in the last week of the campaign. Because you had the Friday before the election. James Comey came out with, he wanted to reopen the Hillary email investigation. Thinking, oh my gosh, because they're looking at the Anthony Weiner stuff. Well, it looks like we really got something here, because they got Huma's emails on Weiner's computer. And Weiner has been, sexting underage girls. I mean, talk about just a cluster. What's going on over there? And so Comey reopens this stuff, and Hillary wants, oh yeah, Comey, come on, release the stuff, because she wants to make it seem like she's not a criminal. And there's just so much going on, and so all that uneasiness and uncertainty, like, oh my gosh. Maybe, some of these people that had their head in the sand, they're thinking, okay, maybe Clinton is guilty, but it was just crazy how this campaign has turned out. And I would argue with what happened with Comey reopening the email investigation against Hillary right there in November, I would call this, the November surprise. So taking all that to consideration, that's again why I come back to, I didn't see this as a landslide victory. And then there's people like Rush, and actually I caught his opening monologue the day after the election. And I'm just listening to Rush Limbaugh, and I'm like, whoa, Rush, you are way out to lunch. What are you talking about that this is a mandate for Trump, And actually I do have a few paragraphs I want to read from Rush's opening monologue on November 9th, just so you guys get a feel for this. And I'm just listening to this. I'm shaking my head. Rush, what the hell are you talking about? And, okay, guys, let me just read it to you. Get this. Here is Rush Limbaugh. I don't know if I should read it in his voice, try to do a Rush imitation here, or probably just read it in my voice. Yeah, I'd probably butcher the Rush here thing. Okay, here it is. It is always ideological. Big government was told to take a hike last night, just like big government was told to take a hike in the Brexit vote. Yesterday, was a total repudiation of big government. It was a total repudiation of the Obama presidency and every aspect of it. It was a total repudiation of the Democrat Party by the people I always describe as those who make this country work. The people who define the character and who define the values of our country were the winners, is what happened yesterday. And what has been going on the last 8 years was repudiated and was washed back against and defeated. It's important to point out, I was listening to Paul Ryan today. It was a new Paul Ryan. He went out and spoke before Hillary did. I've never seen Paul Ryan this enthusiastic. I've never seen Paul Ryan this optimistic. He was genuinely optimistic. He was enthused, and he seemed surprised at the same time. Donald Trump heard a voice out in this country that no one else heard. A lot of people heard it. A lot of people are that voice. People didn't have to hear it. We have been shouting it. People who missed the voice didn't think it was there. It's not that they didn't hear it. It's that they didn't think it was there. If there is a lesson for the GOP, this victory has been there all along. You could have had this victory in 2008. You could have had this victory in 2012. But it's obvious and apparent now that many in the Republican Party never thought this was possible, and they really didn't think it was possible with Donald Trump. They really were prepared to be embarrassed and humiliated, losing the House, losing the Senate. And yet, look what happens. We hold both. So now we have the House, and now we have the Senate, and now we have the White House, and now we have no excuses. There aren't any excuses anymore. The Republican Party has been given the full reins of this government in this country, and there is a mandate behind it. There's nothing mysterious about this. There's nothing to unpack. There's nothing to try to understand. There's nothing confusing about it. It is dead straight simple what the American people voted for yesterday and last night. It is a full repudiation of Obamacare. It is a full repudiation of Obama economics. It is a full repudiation of our culture and the way the Democrats go about dealing with people. Hillary did it in her concession speech. Okay, well, I mean, there is a lot to unpack here, and I won't go through all of what just Rush said there. But to really hit on the highlights here, Rush said, big government was told to take a hike on election night? Really? I'm really confused here. How do you draw this conclusion that big government was told to take a hike? Where in Donald Trump's campaign, you go back listening to him in the Republican primaries, all the things that Trump has said. Well, okay, sure, he's been on both sides of every issue. But where has Trump talked about how he wants to shrink the size of government, that he wants to cut government spending? I never heard that message. I mean, apparently Rush somehow heard that message. Maybe Rush had to convince himself he heard that so he could vote for Trump, so he could be an enthusiastic Trump supporter. Because all I saw from Donald Trump, and I made the point on my show before, many times actually, that all Trump wants, he wants a bigger government. I mean, sure, Trump has mentioned that he wants to, cut taxes and, his tax proposal, and he wants to shrink the brackets from 7 to 3. But really, besides that, I don't see anything what Rush is talking about here. He wants big government to take a hike. Donald Trump specifically said during the campaign he doesn't want to touch entitlements. He wants to leave them as is. He wants to literally kick the can down the road. When Social Security and Medicaid, that's sucking up the vast majority of our budget, the non-discretionary spending. And then Trump is talking about crumbling roads and bridges. Trump mentions he wants a federally mandated family leave. From what I see, Rush, there's nothing there that's small government, that's telling big government to take a hike. Later on in this monologue, what I just read to you guys, he wants a full repudiation of Obama economics and Obamacare. What? Where do you see that? And as I was just getting to on that, when I was referring to that last point that Rush made, Trump wants more infrastructure spending. He wants to bring jobs back home to the United States by being a trade protectionist. That he wants better deals, and that he's calling China a currency manipulator. How is that going to help anything? I mean, remember during the first Republican debate, in regards to when the question of Obamacare came up, Trump said in that debate, I played the clip actually on 2 episodes of my show, how, Trump, he's like, no, we don't want people dying on the streets, and that he wants to, get rid of Obamacare, but he wants to replace it with another system. He said that specifically in that debate, another system, another government system. He should have answered, he wants the free market to take care of it. We don't need the government in our health care. But no, Trump didn't say that. I don't see anything about Trump that is small government. Now, I really do hope that Trump proves me wrong, that he somehow is this small government guy, that everything he was saying during the campaigns, that all of his instincts, when he didn't really know what he's talking about, he was just winging it, but all of his instincts led me to believe that Trump believes in a much bigger government and that Trump is the answer to our problems. I mean, there's a reason that Trump's campaign slogan was to make America great again. Trump thinks that he alone can make America great again. No, an individual can't make America great again. All the president can do is to try to work with a Congress that wants a smaller government and to shrink the size of government by repealing laws that have previously been passed and to purposely cut government spending and slashing the budgets. That is the only way we're out of this $20 trillion national debt problem. This isn't even counting the unfunded liabilities. I mean, and Rush says all this like Trump's is like some sort of new age, 21st century Ronald Reagan like character, Maybe that's what Rush wants Trump to be. I mean, it really, the similarities here between like a Obama and Donald Trump, it's fascinating. And I've also made the point before on my show how, Trump is really the Republican version of Obama. I mean, actually, if you had no idea if Trump was a Republican or a Democrat, if you just notice what he said, go back to his debate performances during the Republican primary, he sounds just like a Democrat. But here's these guys supporting him, these big, the biggest name in conservative talk radio, Rush Limbaugh. Like, he doesn't see that. Hillary was a complete disaster. And that is one good thing. Hey, I didn't support Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. And that's one of the only things I like about a Trump victory is that I know Hillary Clinton will never be president of the United States. I mean, that feels so good. I do. I love that part. Because I remember, I was telling you guys, was this like 2 weeks ago on my show, 2 episodes ago, how like when I was giving, I'd give tours of the Capitol when I was an intern on Capitol Hill back in 2008. There's one part of the tour where you're in the crypt of the Capitol building. And there's this one statue there. I think it had like 3 sides. I can't remember. I'm trying to pull this out of my brain from, 8 years ago now. I can't recall what's on the statue, but I know they left one side of the statue blank, and they saved that part of the statue for the first woman president. And so the joke all along, and like what you tell people during the tour is, oh yeah, this could be Hillary Clinton, Well, now we know it will never be Hillary Clinton. It just feels so good because she is so corrupt. Bill, so corrupt. And just disgusting. I couldn't imagine seeing Hillary Clinton in office for 4 years, giving speeches. When you just know how she really does. From what I can gather, I don't know Hillary Clinton personally. I've never met her. But from what I gather, watching her over the years, she seems like a despicable human being. That is someone I would never want to associate with. Just disgusting. And from what I hear about the way she treats staffers, how she's yelling, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. So it's just so glad that she will not be president. And I'm sure she probably did, the Democrats did all they could to probably cheat to win this election, but they didn't cheat enough, as I stated earlier here, which, hey, you know what? I guess we really don't know what a Trump presidency will bring us, but all I can say is looking back at what everything Trump has said and his instincts tell me he has no faith in the free market. It's the government's job to help push forward progress, and that's not what the founders of this country believed in. And regardless of what the founders thought, also, I mean, and from what I talk about on my show all the time, the answer is the free market. It's not the government. The government, the best they can do is get the hell out of the way. Just like in Atlas Shrugged, when the government is trying to get John Galt to basically endorse their ideas. They've captured John Galt and they've taken him as prisoner. And it's like, hey, John, we need you to say these things, supporting these government initiatives, because if you support these things, then everyone will end up supporting these things because you represent the opposition. And if it can look like the opposition is favoring the government, then we can win this. Basically, it's a way of it's government propaganda. But yeah, getting back to Trump's campaign, and just look at how similar it is to Obama's. How Obama, he was the blank canvas, hope and change. Oh my gosh, you think of hope and change, and you just start getting dreamy-eyed, thinking about all the possibilities. With Trump, exact same thing. Make America great again. Oh, you start getting dreamy and start getting, teary-eyed thinking about, oh my gosh, yeah, let's make America great again. And then you start picturing this giant 40-foot wall with this beautiful door, I mean, that just goes to show you guys. I mean, look, that's how you can make a successful campaign. Focus on really generalized ideas and let people paint that canvas how they wish. So you can get people to support you that might never support you. And get people that like Rush Limbaugh, who, I mean, Trump is really no different from a Democrat at all. But people like Rush are saying that this Trump victory is a repudiation of Obama, the last 8 years of Obama. That the Trump victory is a repudiation of big government. That is laughable. I mean, it's amazing that he can even say that. That is, I mean, we're going to find out. Maybe I am completely wrong. I have been wrong on Trump. I didn't think he was really serious, which I don't think Trump was serious to start off this campaign. I really thought he was using it as a publicity stunt to get his name out there and, to help promote his brand. But then he started winning. It's like, okay, well, now you got to stick into this. It's and it's like you just keeping with something longer than you probably should, and you just get in so deep, like you're like, oh crap, I just got to go through with this thing now, and just try to make the best of it. Well, here he is now, Trump, a guy who's never run for political office ever before. He is now going to be sworn in as the 45th president of the United States. And then, of course, there's a lot of people that are not happy about this. You got half of the country that are crying. You have states wanting to secede from the union, like California and Oregon. They're trying to get through a referendum. If they can get enough people to sign, that will be on the ballot in 2018. I mean, I guess I wouldn't mind with Oregon and California seceding from the union. And heck, I think Montana, we should secede too. Why not? I mean, this is where we are at in this country. And looking at what happened with Brexit, people are losing faith in the system. So maybe it'll be Trump. He could lead us right down this path to getting, especially when things do start to unravel and collapse. It's going to be interesting how these things unfold. But it is rather scary. And I heard this in passing. I think it was from Fox News. They're talking about the exit polls. And one of the questions were, and one of the things that people felt very strongly about is they wanted the person that they were voting for, they wanted a strong man. Seriously, isn't that scary? If you just look back in history, when people want a strong man and there's an economic crisis, a strong man will take advantage of that situation. Like Rahm Emanuel said, I believe, was that him? Don't want a good crisis go to waste. People who want power over others, they're going to seize those opportunities. So that's what scared me, having a Trump in power, or Hillary Clinton too. She was power hungry, money hungry. That's why I did not want to be able to tell my kids and grandkids, well, I don't have any now, but in the future, if things go crazy and, things go out of control, we have martial law, we have a strong man seize power. I don't want to be able to tell my kids and grandkids, yeah, I voted for that person to go into office. I couldn't do that. So I'll just tell my kids and grandkids, yeah, I just voted for that clown, Gary Johnson. But no, in all seriousness, folks, it's going to be interesting how this stuff unfolds. And, Trump, obviously, he's going to provide plenty of material for this podcast here. So you guys just keep it right here. And I'm going to keep you guys informed with what's going on, and keep you up to date with what's really going on in our economy. And I'm going to have to do an episode updating what's going on in the auto market. Everything I've predicted going back about 2 years on my show, warning about a collapse in the auto market with the subprime loans. It's here, folks. But most people, you watch the news, you will never get any of this. So just make sure you keep it right here. Turn your friends and family over to this show. We need more and more people to understand what's really going on out there before things get crazy. Because at that point, people are going to be so scared they won't know what to do. But if at least they have some sort of idea of what's going on, they won't have to be as scared and as confused about, wait, why is this happening? They'll be able to have some answers for themselves. And so that's what I try to do here on my show here. So just, bring more people to my show. Tell your friends and family. And if you guys could do that, and also just, write some reviews for my show on iTunes. I could read some reviews here on my show. If you guys can, help me out. Help support the show by going and buying your Amazon goods through my website. I just go to justinmooreshow.com. Moore is spelled M-O-H-R. You just click on the little widget there, and it takes you right to Amazon's homepage. You just start buying your goods through there, and I get credit for sending you to Amazon. I get a small commission back. It costs you nothing extra, so you still get Amazon's amazing deals that are taking place, and they're starting their Black Friday deals. You can get their lightning deals. So make sure you guys take advantage of that, because there's definitely a lot of value shopping through Amazon. I take advantage of Amazon. I am an Amazon Prime member. Heck, sign up for an Amazon Prime membership. There's like a 30-day free trial, and it is amazing. And actually, if you do that by clicking, if you end up signing up for an Amazon Prime membership by clicking through my link, I get credit for that too. And so that would be an amazing way to help me out here. Because I'm on a shoestring budget here, folks. I just do this with my free time. I have a full-time job farming and, dealing with cattle, that sort of fun stuff. So I would appreciate the help. Or if you donate over $50 to my show, I will send you my bonus episodes, tell you how to save hundreds and hundreds of dollars, go into Vegas, give you stock tips, ways to benefit from the gold and silver bull market, all that sort of fun stuff. Okay, I'm saying way too much here at the end of this show. I thank you guys so much for being here. I will talk with all you guys next week, and I'm looking forward to it. This is Justin Moore, signing off.